In Mauritania, the coalition of opposition parties are threatening to withdraw from the presidential election next June over a lack of consensus on the composition of the commission. Opposition coordination leaders issued the threat last Friday after a meeting with the interior minister. They've demanded a dissolution of the current election commission.
I would add that the coalition of 13 opposition political parties considers that the members of the commission in charge of organizing the elections are largely in favor of the candidate in power, General Mohamed Ghazani, candidate of the UPR and runner-up of President Mohamed Abdelaziz for the 2019 presidential elections, and therefore called for the dissolution of the current Senate installed in April last year by the majority formations and part of the moderate opposition. We're delving deep into this subject this morning to have some more analysis. Musa Umar is a journalist and a political analyst. He's going to tell us more. Good to have you on the program, sir. Barely 3 months to the presidential elections. What does the arm wrestling between the government and opposition really tell you?
Non, malheureusement, je crois que la situation est une situation extrêmement difficile dans la mesure où les partis d'opposition...
Unfortunately, I believe that the situation is extremely difficult as opposition parties have simply entered the arena to prepare for the elections. They had written a letter to the Minister of the Interior, who received it with great kindness, and at one point, he even decided to call them in for a discussion. Unfortunately, however, last week, the Minister of the Interior informed them that he cannot change anything in the Senate, which is made up of 100% of supporters of one of the candidates who is the candidate of the ruling party, and that is former General Ghazani. So unfortunately, they are threatening to suspend their participation in the presidential election. If this happens, it will really be a real waste because next door we are about to experience our first Pacific alternation at the head of power. If it is accompanied by this failure to respect democracy or a plurality, it will be extremely serious and even jeopardize our future.
Parce qu'à côté de nous, nous nous apprêtons à vivre notre première alternance pacifique à la tête du pouvoir. Et si cela s'accompagne avec ces manquements à la démocratie ou à la pluralité, ça sera extrêmement grave. Et ça même met en danger notre avenir.
Musa, let us look at it. Do you think Mohamed Abdelaziz would go to this election without the opposition? In 2016, we saw the radical opposition, we saw inclusive political dialogue take place with the radical opposition. But should that not happen now, do you think that President Abdelaziz would be ready to go for the elections without the opposition?
Malheureusement, le pouvoir est apparemment décidé à les organiser seul dans la mesure de ce qui semblait être...
Unfortunately, the government is apparently determined to organize it alone, since those who seem to be in moderate opposition have all joined the candidate of power, and therefore there is no longer even a picture. It is clear that there is an important field of the political class that does not participate or is not associated with the control of the presidential election through the Senate, and it is extremely dangerous. It is extremely dangerous. What should we fear if, unfortunately, the scenario you have painted happens?
Ce qu'on peut craindre, c'est ce qu'on a toujours vécu durant la décennie écoulée, c'est-à-dire la décennie...
What we can fear is that we have always experienced over the past decade, that is the decade of President Abdelaziz, who himself came to power through a coup, that there is no order, that there is no agreement between the political class, and that there are always problems. You know, we are a very weak country. We are very, very fragile. We are surrounded by a belt, I would say in quotation marks of far. We border Morocco and Polisario. We are bordering Algeria, which knows the threats it faces. We are bordering Mali, which has been facing an extremely difficult situation since 2011, marked by the establishment of jihadist military and consort movements. And so if we do not manage to have a united national front, if we do not manage to have a healthy political situation, a political landscape where the opposition recognizes power and the power recognizes the opposition, then we will be in a situation of risk that is extremely serious, especially since we are preparing for elections.
là, nous serons dans une situation de risque qui est extrêmement grave, d'autant plus qu'on s'apprête en 2021 à exploiter.
It also gets very complicated as we prepare to explore major gas fields between us and our Senegalese